Okay, this is a personal documentary. First question. What is your full name?
Dorathy LaVon DeWitt.
And why did your parents select this name for you?
The man that my dad worked for had two kids named Clyce and LaVon, and my mom liked those names, and that's how me and Clyce got our names.
And did you have a nickname growing up?
Yeah, Dinky.
And how did you come by that?
My Uncle Sunshine, Uncle Orville DeWitt, he nicknamed me Dinky because I was so tiny.
All right. How many are or in your family?
There was 12 living children, 3 dead ones, and my mother had 2 miscarriages, so and it was a tough life for that woman.
Yeah. When and where were you born?
Ravenville, Missouri, out in the country.
On.
I think it's Friendship Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the house that me and Clyce was born in, it burnt down, so it's not there now. But they built another one.
And it was February
24th, 1939, which was a very good year because Gone with the Wind was come out then, and so was The Wizard of Oz, and they both had beautiful songs in them, like Tara's theme and I can't remember that. Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yes. 2 of my favorite movies for sure. Let's see. How did your family come to live there?
Well, my dad moved around a lot, and they worked in sawmills, and my grandpa, he had first it was a sawmill camp, and then it turned into a farmland after the sawmill moved out. He had built a house down at the end of that road, and we kind of all just lived around there, kind of close to him. And but we moved away several times, even out of the state into Illinois, but we always wanted to come back home.
What was your home like growing up? How many rooms did you all live in? There were, how many of you? 12?
Yeah.
Plus your folks?
Yeah, but they gradually come along, 12. But that we lived in a 4-room house.
So it was a kitchen, a living room.
A little bedroom at the back, and a bedroom,
I suppose you used an outhouse.
Oh, yes. Good Lord.
How'd that go in the wintertime?
It was pretty rough. And of course, we had the old pots inside that when it got real bad, that we used, and then we had to empty them the next day.
What is your earliest childhood memory?
I guess when my brother Clay was born, I asked Mom, "Where did you get that baby?" And she said, "Oh, I got him in that old rag box sitting over there." She had a box of old clothes over there. Well, I went over there and I dug clear to the bottom, and I didn't find no baby. I wanted to find me one. And she got so tickled at me.
Oh, goodness.
I was 4 years old. And I was digging in that box for me a baby, too.
And you never found one?
No.
Let's see. If you can remember, describe the personalities of your family members. Like your dad, your mom, and your siblings.
Well, my dad was a really hard-working man, and he was a good man. Jolly man. He liked to do things with the family in the earlier years, but then he got to drinking so much, and I often wondered, because after those 3 babies died, he told Mom, I remember him telling my mom once when we was going over, my great-grandma was sick, and she was crying, my mom was, and he said, "Now you got to straighten up, Mom." Sylvie said, I just wanted to just curl up and die when them babies died, but I had to keep going, and I've often wondered if that might have got him started drinking, like he did. It just kept getting worse, and then he started mistreating my mom.
What was your dad's full name?
Melvin DeWitt. He didn't have a middle name.
No. And your mom's full name?
Sylvia Lucille.
That's very pretty. And then the rest of your siblings?
Well, Velma was the oldest. Velma Lucille.
And what was her personality like?
Well, she was kind of like a second mother to us, you know, the older kids. But to the younger kids, they seem to think she got like a bossy old aunt or something. They they didn't like her all that much. But I realized that Valma was, you know, she had a big family and was probably run ragged too. So I always kind of tried to overlook that. But
And then who was after her?
Klaus, and he was a good brother. With me and him done a lot. We played. I said I had the best of two worlds because I could play house and dolls with Katie, my younger sister, 2 years younger than me, and then I could get out and be a tomboy with Klaus, you know. And so, but he got, in his later years, he got to drink it bad too. So, you know, but he had good memories, but in his childhood, you know.
Yeah. And who come after him?
Me.
And how would you describe your own personality growing up?
I guess I was a pretty good kid, but I don't know. I tried to be a good kid, you know, and everything, but
Were you as ornery as your other siblings?
probably. and my younger sister, I could kind of talk her into about anything, so she was more submissive, you know. But we had good times together too. So.
And then who come after you?
Katie.
And her personality was like?
Like I said, she was kind of submissive. She was a sweet kid. And the last fight we had, well, I was chasing her, you know, and I hit her right in the back when she went out the door, and I felt so bad after that because I hit her just as hard as I could. Of course, probably didn't hurt her all that bad, but I felt bad about it, and so I said to myself then, we're not going to fight no more. So that was the end of our quarrels. We got real close after that.
Yeah.
Of course, we was close when we was little, but like I say, that was one of them squabbles that we had.
I think all siblings have that.
Yeah.
And then who was after Katie?
Clay. He was, we called him Old Goofy Clay because he was kind of slow, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a good kid, and him and Jerry, the next one, you know, they did some pretty ornery things when they was little too. When they was real little, we was living in this house. They come in and they pull their breeches off, and they painted herself with pokeberries. I guess they thought that looked pretty, and my mom got so tickled. They had those purple penises.
Okay, and then Jerry came after.
Clay, yeah.
Okay, and how was his personality? Sounds kind of ornery.
Yeah, and he was hotter tempered, and he was kind of jealous of some of the other kids, you know, and so he wasn't as mild mannered as Clay. And after he grew up, well, that's when him and Klaus had the fight, and he ended up killing Klaus, and that was one of the big tragedies in our family.
And anybody after Jerry?
Yeah, Janet.
Janet, okay.
And Janet, she was kind of bossy, but we all loved her, and she liked to play out in the field with the cows. Somebody said, "Where's Janet?" "Well, she's out there with the cows." But she was a pretty little girl.
So she was more of a tomboy. She liked the cattle.
Yeah. Yeah, she did.
And after that one?
Joyce.
Okay. And how was Joyce's personality?
Joyce was kind of goofy. She's always making us laugh, and she just was a delight, you know, to know. And me and her got close after I moved back here from Colorado, and we were close to each other. I said that losing her when she passed away, it was almost like losing Mom again, you know. So she was a good old gal.
And after her?
Patsy.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Patsy's the horsewoman.
So Cassandra and her get along really well.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they would. Yeah, and she used to ride horses. Of course, she's getting so old now she can't. And she was a sweet girl, and when she was little, she jumped off the back porch onto a broken bottle, and Mom was gone, shopping or something. Oh, her and Daddy was, yeah, they was gone. And I had to carry her up to the neighbor woman to get her to the doctor, and I didn't know how to stop the bleeding in her foot, and so I just grabbed the old Vaseline jar and filled the place full of Vaseline and wrapped it up and got her to the neighbors and got her to the doctor, and that doctor said that was the best thing I could have done, and so she survived that, and so did I.
Sometimes natural instinct kicks in, and,
Yeah,
and it's usually the best.
I was, I don't remember how old we were, but I you know, like, didn't have much sense anyways, but I had sense enough to try to do something, you know. But that was one of the memories with her, and she still remembers it too. She remembers me. I'd have to set her down once in a while and rest, and then carry her on up the road a little ways. And Katie stayed with the other kids, you know, while I was getting her to the doctor. I thought she was going to bleed to death.
Yeah.
But she didn't.
And she's all better.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if she still has a scar or not, but I'll have to ask her.
There you go. We can ask her Sunday.
Yeah.
Anybody after Patsy?
Yeah, Shirley Jean. She's the one that had epilepsy, but she didn't get it until after they operated on her for her ears, and so but she had a hard time hearing when she was little, and she was a quiet little kid and was good natured until you really made her mad, and then woo, you better watch out.
So she took after Dad.
A little bit.
Yeah. And anybody after her?
Pete.
Okay.
And and Pete was a gentle person. He always wanted to be a preacher, and he didn't get to do that, but he did play in music and stuff, and he was really talented in music, and he could play. Once when me and Paige was staying with him and Dorothy, I heard this piano playing, and I thought, who's in there playing that piano? And I got up and I went in there, and it was Pete. And I said, I didn't know you could play the piano. And he said, yeah, I plunk a little bit. And he could play the guitar and fiddle. He learned to play the fiddle because Mom wanted one of them. She said, I want one of you kids to learn how to play the fiddle because her dad and her grandpa had played fiddle. And so Pete, and they used to gripe at him for all that squeaking and squawking, and he stuck right in there and learned how to play it, and him and Mom was pretty close, you know. He was a joy to be around. And me and him talked quite a bit about religion, and he wouldn't try to force his ideas on you. He'd say, this is the way I think it is, and I said, I think he would have made a good minister.
Yeah, Mark says he helped him out quite a bit.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Mark went to live with him and Dorothy for a while, and yeah, he did. He tried to help everybody, and he helped Mark. He's gone now too. So
Anybody after him?
Becky Ann.
Okay, and how was her personality growing up?
Well, her and Robin was buddies. You know, they played together because they're just 2 years apart, and that's why Robin and Byron feel like they're almost like brothers and sisters with my younger sisters and brothers, because they kind of grew up together, and Robin, she'd say that my mom used to get so tickled at her. Well, all of them did, because she'd say Joshry, when she tried to tell her something, you know. Joyce would get tickled about it too. Josh Reeves, we call Joyce.
And anybody after Joyce?
That was Becky, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the last one.
All right.
Did we leave Joyce out?
No, you said that we were talking about Joyce, and then you said Becky was the youngest?
Yeah.
Okay, and how was her personality?
Her and Robin was...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we got to her.
Okay, and she was the last one. She was the baby.
Yeah, there's so many, it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to... Okay, at what age did you start school, and what was school like then compared to what you know it now?
Oh, it's a lot different. We went to a two-room schoolhouse, and I went there to go to first grade, and they measured kids. This sounds so silly now. They would measure you, and whoever was the tallest got to go to school. The other got sent home. So this one girl was taller than me, and I didn't get to go that year, so I had to go back home and wait till the next year. And that sounds strange now.
Yeah, because now they do it by age.
Yeah, but that first year, I didn't care for that teacher at all. She was a crappy old thing, and well, she wasn't really an old woman, but she'd go to me. But the next year, I got a good teacher and had that on up to the fourth grade, and then went into the fifth grade and had an even better teacher there because she was younger and she seemed to understand more and everything. Miss Wade was the first teacher, and then Miss Valerie Lauren was the second one. She just died here last year, I guess. She lived to be 90-some years old. She was a good teacher.
And how far did you go in school?
8th grade.
8th grade?
I started high school, but it was so different than our country school down there, and I didn't care for it. And Mom was pregnant with Pete then, and I had to milk the cows before I went up the road about a mile to catch a school bus, and it just got to be too much. And my dad was not, and Price was not working at that time. They was cutting pine poles to get by, so I just dropped out and helped Mom, and everything. And a high school education wasn't that important back then,
Right. Okay. Were you or any family ever mentioned in a newspaper, and what was the reason?
Oh yeah, when my brother, we found out what happened to him and he'd been killed or murdered. Well, that was in the newspapers a lot. And so that was one big story. Then of course, the other was just like when somebody got killed in a car wreck or something, and we told about that. But that was the big story, was when Clyce.
How'd that affect the family?
Oh, we about all went crazy.
Yeah.
It affected every one of us, And my dad had, he had tried to help cover it up that Jerry had done it, and that, it was a bad time for all of us. Like me and my sister said, we about went crazy.
What world event had the most impact on you while you were growing up? And did any of them affect your family personally?
I guess I'd say World War II affected the whole family and world, And I remember being scared to death that the Germans was going to come over and drop bombs on us, and I didn't even think about Japan when that was the one that did bomb Pearl Harbor. But I'd say that was the one that affected us the most. And it was a rough time because we had to get by on those stamps, and I was only allowed so many pairs of shoes.
And you have any family members that went off and fought?
Oh yeah, I had uncles. And I had an Uncle Edward that fought in the Philippines, and two uncles that went to Germany, over in Europe, And I had another uncle that went to the Philippines. My mom's brother went to the Philippines, and Uncle Edward. Yeah, that was three. And the whole world was in war then. Back then,
Right. Did they all make it home?
Yeah. We was lucky there. None of them get killed over there.
Okay. Here's a fun one. Did your family have any special holiday or other traditions?
Well, yeah, we celebrated Christmas.
Did you have a special tradition that you celebrated at Christmas?
Just, they're just the regular things, Mom, they'd give us what they could. And I remember once, Mom and Class and Ballon was busy doing this, you know, and hiding stuff and everything. And the Christmas, well, me and Katie had these little cradles that they had built for us, and Velma and Mom had made dresses for these little dolls for us, a doll apiece, you know. And then another time, me and Katie was playing back down in the barn loft. We found this here bunch of apples hidden down in the hay. And boy, God, I said, Mom, we found these apples down. And she said, you get out of there. I'm saving them for Christmas. And then the most memory I had was when we lived in the sawmill camp up in Brighton, Illinois. And Class and Daddy and my Uncle Henry had worked trying to get this truckload of lumber out so they could have Christmas, you know. And they couldn't get it out of between these two big hills. So they all loaded up and of course left all us kids there with Velma, and they went to town to try to get some credit at one of the stores. And they come in with the awfulest mess of groceries and candy and stuff, and I said, Mom, where did you get that? And she said, well, your Uncle Henry went to he was one of them that had been over in the Philippines and fought in the war, and he said, he had a war bonus from the Army, and he loaned me and your dad some money. And my Aunt Della was living with Uncle Henry, and she said, he come in and throwed $100 bill in my lap, and I don't imagine she'd ever seen that much money, you know. And that was a very good Christmas, and because Mom had cooked the last of the flour and milk that morning and fixed the biscuits and gravy, you know, and that was it. And it was looking like a bleak Christmas, and I always told my kids, I said, I was beginning to believe in Santa Claus before that was over with.
All right. What stories have been passed down to you about your family, and what stories would you like passed down about your family?
Well, my mom, I like to go berry picking with my mom because she'd always get to tell me stories, and she would tell me stories about my about my grandma and everything, and it was really interesting. One that she told that I really liked is she didn't like my uncle. He was nicknamed Jap, but his name was Jasper, and she didn't. Her and his wife didn't get along. They got into a fight once, and Mom said the frying pans and pots was flying out the cabin door. They lived in a sawmill camp. And she wanted to come back home down here on Pigeon Creek to the home place, and my grandma did, Grandma and Amanda. But this was Nancy and Aunt Effie. Aunt Effie was she just spitfire, you know. Like I said, Grandma and Nancy was fighting, and Mom said, yeah, they was. So that you never know what goes on in a family, you know. But she liked my grandma Amanda, and they always got along. And I was trying to think of some more things that happened, but I can't remember too well. But me and my kids, I don't. Oh, we've got so many memories.
Yeah. Well, what would be a memory that you would want to pass down to your grandkids? What would you want them to remember a story from your life?
Maybe I like that one about the Christmas, you know, where I just about was beginning to believe in Santa Claus, because that sticks out in my memory, because it was a bad time that really turned good. And
family stuck together.
Yeah. And I try to forget the bad things and just remember the good. That's the main thing, you know. That's one of the things that pulls you through this life, is remembering the good times.
But sometimes those bad times help.
Yeah, they do.
They help you they've developed you into who you are.
I remember at my mom's funeral, I was talking to the neighbor lady, and she said, she was telling about she was going on to a better place. And I said, well, I sure hope so, because she had enough bad times here. she says, oh, but she had good times too. I remember when you kids was little, she had good times too. I try to remember that, you know. And I just hope my kids always, I know I've got some grandchildren now that they spout off about God and everything, but I think they'll eventually, you know, realize that you can't get nowhere without believing in God, and you can lean on Him, and He'll always be there. Robin, she'll say, well, Mom, I hate to see you sitting down there by yourself. And I said, I'm never alone, Robin, and I believe that fully, you know.
I do too. I do too. Let's see. How is the world today different from what it was when you were a child?
Oh, it's so different. So different. But I think it's better in a way, you know.
In what way is it better?
Well, I like my microwave oven. Don't take that away from me. But I just, I believe it's a lot better than it used to be, because we really, there was, and like back during the Depression and everything, people actually did starve to death, you know, and it's bad times. But we've come out of it, and I think it's a lot better world now. And I think, you know, that people be talking about our government and everything, and I said, well, I still think we got the best system that there is, you know. And my brother Clay, he says, the people thinks this is so bad over here, they ought to go over there to them other countries, and they'll kiss the ground when they get back here. And he said, I did. And he was in the Army, you know. And so.
All right. Who was your greatest influence growing up, and why?
Oh, my mother. Oh, definitely my mother. Anything good in me, I got from my mother, I think, or a lot of it, you know. And she probably got it from her mother, because her mother was a very good woman. Everybody says that. And so I think that we should all strive to be good people, but
So what about your mom influenced you the most?
just her goodness, you know. She was just a good person. But now, yeah, she'd take and she'd take and take, but then when she got mad, well, you better watch out.
I think that's any of us, though.
Yeah, I can remember them switches.
No, you?
Oh, yeah. Boy, she can make you dance. I told you this and I told you that.
Is that why you said you were going to take a switch after Mark and I if we didn't get back up here?
Yeah.
Is that what Robin said the other day?
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I got that from my mother, because she'd give you a warning, and if you didn't listen to her, well, you got to switch it.
It's a shame they can't do that these days to some kids.
Yeah, and it wouldn't really do any damage. It just sting like, you know, she'd have little slim green limbs. Boy, she knew how to use them. But my gosh, with that many kids, you had to do something.
Yeah, you go crazy, definitely.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through rough patches in life. What was one you remember, and how and what got you through it? It could be through your childhood or with you raising kids. What's the roughest patch that you went through, and how'd you get through it?
I'm trying to think more with in my life. Well, there was several rough patches with me and my kids, but my kids, I'm kind of like my mother. I had good kids, and Joyce, she'd say, now, LaVon, I know us kids wasn't that good, and that's the way I feel about my kids. I had good kids, but they always tried to help me, and I can't remember any one thing, but one time, because there was so many of them. But we made it through all of our rough times, and I'm proud of every one of my kids.
Being a single mom.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah, it is. And there was times that I know probably wasn't the best mother in the world, but I tried. And it's like Paige said, she said, I figure my mom she done the best with what she had, you know. So I tried, and I know my mother did too. Well, she come back here to Missouri with 6 kids and $5, and I had taken so much abuse from the kid's dad, and I thought, boy, if my mom can do it, I can too, you know, with 4. So I was left with 4 kids and a broken down Ford. We had reverse out of it. Couldn't back it up.
You weren't going back to where you came from, in other words.
Right.
Oh, okay, let's see.
But there was good times too, you know.
Oh yeah, there's always.
Yeah.
Those always outweigh the bad.
Yeah. Well, that's what the kid's dad said when he was trying to get me to come back to him again. And I'd go back to him, and then he'd just start his old stuff again. He said, "Now, hon, you're letting the bad times outweigh the good." And I said, "You're just thinking about the bad times and not the good." And I said, "The bad times got to outnumber the good."
When did you become a Christian, and how did that make a difference? How did you come to make that decision?
I was, I think about 12 years old, and me and the 2 neighbor kids went and got baptized, and we was baptized in the Baptist church at Houston, and in a pool, and good thing it was in the wintertime. And then I even taught Sunday school there for a while when I was a young teenager, and the little class, you know, and I was a Christian for several years, and I would pray and pray for my dad to change, and he wouldn't change, and he never did change. And then when I got older, I got to run around, and of course, and met this boy and everything, and we took off to Chicago, and where his sister lived. That's the kid's dad. That's another story.
All right.
I left my church training behind.
Yeah. You became a little wildfire.
Well, yeah, for a while, but then I tried to be a good, you know, wife and mother, and I was for years. And then when we got divorced, but I still worked. I worked to raise them kids. So, and they, like I said, they were good kids. They helped me.
All right. This one I'm interested in. Who was or is the love of your life? Or have you had many?
No, no, I haven't had it. I guess I was in love with this one boy, and we went together for a while, and I thought, well, then I met the kid's dad, and we, you know, after we didn't see each other again and everything, and we met the kid's dad, and I always thought about getting back with him someday, you know, running on to him, you know. Well, I did.
What was his name?
Clifton McConaughey. and I was working over at Houston, and he come in, and gosh, he should old scold, and I thought, oh my gosh, this was my dream guy. But I really did care about him. Of course, back when I knew him, he didn't use that scold. He just smoked a cigarette. And the one guy that I could have really fell in love with was he got killed in a car wreck. I just got one date with him.
What was his name?
Dwayne Martin. And he was really a good boy. Yeah, I did have several boyfriends, come think of it.
Well, you were pretty hot looking back in the day, let me tell you.
There was Bobby Randall and Marion Ashworth. But that was just childhood things.
Yeah. When did you meet your children's dad?
In 50. Well, I met him when we was kids in school, grade school, you know. And then I didn't see him again till he was in the Army and come back on his furlough, and we got together. And
What was his full name?
Robert Edgar. Robert Edgar Price, and that's the one we took off to Chicago with.
Yeah.
And I really did love that man. I did everything I could to make that work, but he just got to drinking too much.
How long after you, when did you get married to him?
56.
And then when did you decide to start a family?
I didn't. It just happened.
Before or after marriage?
All of before.
Oh!
Yeah, Robin was on the way. Actually, we never did get married. I'll be honest with my grandkids. We did not have a civil ceremony. It was common law, you know.
Yeah.
And, but they're legal now, so they
Oh, yeah.
matter. And but we was always going to get married. But after you start having the kids, and it's got to be so secretive, you know. And back then you did, and it was hard for us to get it arranged, you know.
Well, sometimes that piece of paper is just that.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you have that family right there, and
right. I guess that's why the Social Security office is always, you know, they figured it's a legal marriage because
Yep.
it's common law.
Okay, what are the names of your children, and why did you choose them? Start with the oldest. First and middle name.
Robin Angela. I've named Robin after her dad. It's a female version of Robert, and his mother, her name was Angelique, but I didn't care for that, so I just cut it down to Angela. So she's actually named after Robert and Blanche, his mother.
Okay. And then who's next?
Byron Edgar. He's named after James Dean.
Go figure.
Because James Dean was James Byron Dean, and I like the name Byron. So, and Byron took me to James Dean's grave, and we put roses on it. Because, he was my heartthrob, but I was a teenager. And
I think he was every girl's heartthrob back then.
And Byron Edgar. That's his name. I was named Edgar because of Eddie Price, his grandpa, and so he's named after
A movie star and a grandfather.
Yeah.
Okay, and then next?
Mark DeWitt Price. I always liked the name Mark. I don't know why. Maybe because it's out of the Bible. Maybe Mark Twain. I tried to get Katie to name her baby boy Mark, but she didn't. She named him after his dad, Tommy. But I always liked Mark, so I picked Mark, and then the DeWitt come, of course, after my maiden name.
Mm-hmm.
I named the other two kids after their dad's side of the family, so it's time my family got some credit here.
There you go.
And of course, I had only planned on having two, and I always said, God doubled my order somehow on me. So.
And you got 2 boys and 2 girls.
Yeah.
And then Paige?
Paige Sylvia. Yeah. I like Paige because I read this book, Parish. And there's a girl in there named Paige, and I like that name. I named her, I had her named Kimberly right up to the last, and I was reading that book, and I asked her dad, I said, what do you think about the name Paige? He said, Paige Price, that's kind of cute. So, and I had told my mom if I ever had another girl, it was going to be named after her. And so I got her middle name Sylvia. And I told Mom, I said, well, Mom, I didn't think I was going to have another girl when I told you that. And she said, see, you had to make your word good.
How would you describe the personalities of each one of your children, starting with the oldest?
Oh.
Through childhood, and if it followed them into adulthood, their personalities.
Robin she's a mild-mannered person, and she takes and takes, and she's a good person. She'll do anything. She'll give you the shirt off her back, and That's just her. She's just good, you know. But she's like all of us. She can take and take, and then she gets enough. And Byron, he's just old laid back Byron. He takes everything calm and cool most of the time. And Mark, he's always been the more sensitive boy. You know, he seems to. I don't know. He just he's always there doing stuff, just busy, busy, busy. And they all laugh at him, but he gets it done. And he's a kind-hearted person, but he's had a lot of heartache in his life too, grief, you know. And Paige, she's just old laid-back Paige. Byron and Paige is more alike, and Robin and Mark's more alike. But they're all good kids. So.
Mark said that to him, growing up, Robin was like a mother hen.
Yeah, yeah.
She was like his second mom.
Yeah, she had to, and a lot of times, you know, especially after I had to work, she was really good to take care of Mark and Paige, you know, and well, Byron's always been good too. So I remember once when Byron, he was working at a gas station, and he went to the store and got a sack of groceries and brought in and give to me, and because he knew we was needing, you know, and so he does have a heart, although they say that he don't, he does. And I thought, well, good grief, I sure appreciate this, Byron.
I don't think there's a complaint about any one of your kids. Really.
No. And me and Paige got real close too before she got married, because she went to live with her dad for a while, and she wanted me and Mark to come and rescue her. So we went down there and got her clothes, and her little stepsister, she said, told Paige, she says, I wish I was going with you, because her mom didn't treat her very well. But now isn't it funny? She's who she's living with. I guess, which, you know, that's good, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yep. Of all the things that you have learned in life, what are the things that you consider most valuable?
Well, my kids is the most important thing in my life, and what did I learn? I guess to have faith in God, because He won't let you down. And you might think He's letting you down sometimes, but you got to have patience, you know. And sometimes it seems like He's not doing what you want Him to do.
And yep.
and it works out for the best. So
Yep.
I'd say my love for my kids, my faith in God. That's what Mark asked me. He says, "Mom," and well, Byron had asked, "How did you make it through all that?" And I said, "I believe in God. That's what did." And I'm going to stick with that.
Yep. We try to tell the kids that, you know, just because you don't think God's working,
Yeah.
doesn't mean He isn't.
Right.
God has 3 answers for every person when they're praying.
Yeah.
It's either a yes, a no, or a wait.
Yeah.
And when you think that, you know, it's not going your way, a lot of times He's just saying wait. Just be patient. Just like you said.
Yeah, that's true.
If you could change anything in your life, what would it be and why?
Well, I wouldn't change. You know, a lot of times people say they would change the way they lived and what they did, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't change being with the kid's dad or anything, because I wouldn't have my kids then. You know, if I could change anything in my life, I'd think I'd want my dad to change, because I think he screwed up most of his kids about what come about eventually. But you know, we got to forgive, and I would say that was it, because if he had quit drinking and quit mistreating Mom, well, our lives would have been different. But then, I ended up marrying the same kind of men, and I don't. But they say that girls do that, you know. I don't know. I don't know why. I guess that's why I say, I think he damaged all of these kids when he did that. And him and Clyde was so close, and then for that to happen, it just boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you feel is your greatest accomplishment?
Raising them kids. I used to think, oh Lord, I'm never going to get these kids raised, but boy, now then I miss them. I wish they could come around more and everything. But that was the biggest accomplishment.
So you're pretty proud of all the kids.
Yes, I am. And I want them to remember that too. And I'm proud of all my grandkids and great grandkids and great way into the future. I hope they know that, you know.
Yeah. If you could give your grandchildren one word of advice about life, what would it be?
Don't lose your sense of humor, because life is, you know, life's funny, and just learn to laugh and enjoy life. That's one of the main things, I think.
The last question. What is something you want your family and friends to always remember about you?
But I love them, and I will all the future when, you know, I do all the past ones. I just everybody. I just remember the love. You know, that's the main thing, I think.
Keep the humor and remember to love.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I guess that's about it. And the faith in God, you know. And it's like I tell Amber, my granddaughter, I said, you got to believe in something or you'll fall for anything. You got to watch out for these here slick willies.
There you go.
And you can't, you gotta, the Bible, you know, if the people would follow Jesus' teachings, they wouldn't get so messed up, I think. And it takes you a long time to learn that sometimes, but if you live long enough, you'll get there.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with any of your family?
I guess not. I just like I say, remember, and I hope that, you know, I wish they would all get along. And of course, life is so short, you know, when you get right down to it. So I wish they would never squabble or nothing, but I know they're going to probably. But they're all related, and they all should all get along, you know. And when I'm gone, I hope nobody gets into it over anything, you know. Everybody loves each other, you know. And I guess that's it.
All right. Well, that concludes our interview.